All right. Once again, thank you for coming tonight. My name is Kent, and let's get started with tonight's event. So, the crypto innovation, where Web2 meets Web3. Here's the theme for our event tonight. At the start, a couple of event guidelines. Please keep your mask on for the duration, except while eating and drinking. So having something in your hand will be quite helpful. All the guests are to be seated while eating and drinking. A quick run of the agenda today. We'll be starting with a plug and play introduction, followed by a panel discussion. Today's guests include mainly, public chains, exchanges, funds, as well as corporations. And online, we have a couple of hundred of people joining us from all over the world, ranging from, everything mentioned above, plus a lot of other Web3 builders. So for today, we want to focus on Web2, Web3. After the panel discussion, we will be announcing a soft launch of our crypto and Web3 vertical. Will be followed by a couple of guest speakers' keynotes, and then dinner and refreshments. Without further ado, I would like to invite Jupe, our managing partner of Plug and Play APAC, to give a quick introduction of Plug and Play. Jupe.
Thanks, Kent. Very good, very warm welcome and good evening to all of you. When we planned this online and offline over here and online as well, those in the online audience, thank you for joining us. Right, when we planned this event quite a long time ago, we didn't know that this would be such an auspicious day with Singapore loosening restrictions and all that. So they said, okay, Jupe, you have to do the opening. So here I am. Okay. I won't take up so much of your time. There's a lot of great content to get into, but I think suffice to say, it's really good to be seeing people back, in real life and not just over Zoom and all that. So let me dive right in. Thank you to all of you for joining us. Many of our partners and friends are here as well. We thank you for supporting us. So we believe in open innovation. Plug and Play is the world's largest open innovation platform. There are three core pillars to our activities. So we run startup accelerator programs all around the world. We work with Fortune 1000 companies in corporate innovation. So we have about 500 plus corporate partners that work with us around the world. And we're early stage VCs. So we invest in right now about an average of 200 plus startups per year. Last year, the last 2 years have been bad because of COVID, but have been really good for us on the investment side. We are now at about almost 2,000 portfolio companies since we started investing, but this is from a long time ago, 20 over years. Our first ever investment, as an example, was PayPal. One of our latest unicorns are right here, Block Demon. Last year was a great year, as mentioned. We doubled the number of unicorns in our portfolio. And we are increasing that at a good rate this year as well. Some have yet to be announced. So we are optimistic that things will be looking really well on the investment side. You cannot see too much here, but here's a snapshot of some of the corporations that we work with from around the world. And we're always, many of our team members are here today. Some even flew in from Thailand and the Philippines. So please feel free to reach out to any of our team members to find out more about what we do. We work across verticals. We are industry agnostic. We invest in technology, but these are some of the 18 to 20 industry themes or verticals that we look at. Some are a little bit broader, like sustainability or financial services. And sometimes when we see the opportunity, we deep dive further. So in the case of financial services, for example, we go into fintech, insurtech, and now hopefully Web3, crypto, and so on and so forth. A snapshot of where we are around the world. We are about 600 people worldwide across 35 plus offices. When I joined, we had less than 20 people and we were only in the US. So it's quite amazing, the journey that we've had and we continue to have. A quick overview of our our activities in APAC. We're about 50 people in APAC. The Singapore office was actually the first office that we set up in 2010 to do regional investments. Today, as mentioned, we're about 50 plus people. We're running programs in 4 countries, Singapore, Indonesia, Thailand, and the Philippines. And we are hoping to expand into Vietnam and possibly 1 or 2 more markets here in the next few years. Okay. Here's a snapshot of some of the partners that we work with. I think as we jump into this Web2 meeting Web3, the community, I think as everyone sees, is very important, the ecosystem, right? So we work across and we talk to all the stakeholders that can benefit startups in the startup ecosystem. So that ranges from fellow investors and accelerators like ourselves. We don't see it as a zero-sum game. There's enough for everyone. We talk to universities, we talk to media companies, we talk to tech blogs, and we try to make it, you know, Silicon Valley in a box, if you will, to use one of our older trademarks. Okay. So we run some specialized programs, and just to give you a few examples, there are programs that are thematic, such as financial services, but from time to time we will work with strategic partners. So here's a sense of some of the partners that we've worked with. The Alliance to End Plastic Waste, we power their global accelerator programs. Facebook Accelerator, we are running a number of programs for Facebook or Meta around the world. With the UNWTO, we did a sustainable travel related program, and Indonesia is one of our big programs in the region. With that, I will end off with this slide. This is just an overview of the FinTech, InsurTech, financial services, corporate partners that are working with us here and in the region. We thank you for your support and partnership over the years. And with that, I will hand it back to Kent. Thank you. Welcome. Enjoy.
Thank you, Jup. Now, crypto innovation, where Web2 meets Web3. I would like now to give you a quick sharing of Plug and Play's history in crypto in a couple of minutes. So Plug and Play has actually been back in crypto since 2013. Back then, we were one of the earliest hosts of the Silicon Valley, Bitcoin meetups. You can see some of the pictures here, be it our Silicon Valley Bitcoin meetups or some of our Bitcoin startup incubator. And you can also see we hold one of the summit. We named it Bitcoin Winter, maybe not a very nice name after so many years when we look back, but that was actually one of our first events. In 2013, we launched the world's first global Bitcoin startup incubator program. With that, we run a couple of batches of accelerator, and we also selectively invest in a few that slowly build up our portfolio, from then. In 2014, we actually hosted world's first ever Bitcoin job fair in Sunnyvale, California. Welcomed a couple of hundred of job seekers in the crypto space, even in the very early days. And last year, we were very honored and very humbled, ranked by PitchBook as one of the top 6 investors in blockchain and crypto by deal count. Having been in the industry for some time, I know that this is a very, very, I think, honorable mention. And I actually know that a lot of funds are actually out there, very low profile, very humbled, didn't put their name out there. So definitely would love to, get to meet more friends, build more connections and help each other out. Our crypto portfolio has been growing since the early days. We have about 100 plus portfolio by now. And a couple of them that I'd like to highlight, for example, Block Damon with the general manager of APAC also here today. We'll be doing one of the sharing sessions. We seeded them in the early days and they're now valued at about $3.2 billion in its latest Series C. Another one is Stellar, is one of the leading open network for storing and moving money. The fully diluted market cap is about $9.7 billion. It's also one of the portfolios that we seeded in the early days. So I guess, with that, here is a timeline view of our crypto history since 2013 up until now. So what's going to happen next? I'll leave that with a little bit of suspense, and let's then go into the Crypto 101 for some of our, mainly the audience who are dialing in online, as well as some of the corporates who are more new to this world. So bear with me for some of the crypto degens and the experts in this space. So what is blockchain technology? Blockchain is basically a decentralized ledger of all transactions across a peer-to-peer network. There are a couple of key characteristics: decentralized, immutable, and transparent. In short, how this works is that transactions will be done on-chain, verified by decentralized nodes, and these information will be recorded on the blocks, and these blocks contain specific data of not just this current block, but also all the previous blocks. And when these all connected together is what we call blockchain. So there are a couple of benefits of blockchain technology, and it has been utilized by a lot of industry. Number one, fast and low cost transactions. Number two, trust. Three, security and privacy. And last but not least, tokenization actually unlocks a lot of potential for many use cases, as some of the panelists and speakers will be touching on later on. So in the Web3 ecosystem, there are some of the key players, as you can see here, starting with, at the top, exchanges, institutional investors, traditional financial services, corporates, traders, users versus retail investors, public chains and regulators, and all the builders in this space together make up very vibrant ecosystem that we are seeing today. This is just one snapshot, for example, where it resonates a little bit more with financial services, corporations, even in Web2. There are brokers and crypto banks all over the world. And for a similar, I guess, ecosystem mapping, we have it, from one of the CVVC PwC Global Report across multiple other ecosystem players, be it exchanges, custodians, DAOs, DeFis, launchpads, market makers, NFTs, and so on and so forth. So if you're interested in getting this, feel free to get in touch later as well. We can share this. So with the Crypto 101, now I'd like to move quickly into where Web2 meets Web3 to really set the context for our panel that will be upcoming right after this. So here is also a snapshot of some of the verticals that, as Drew mentioned, Plug and Play has been running accelerator. And there are some of them that we have identified as the first batches of verticals that we think are quite relevant for potential Web2, Web3 collaboration. Be it sustainability, where carbon credits can potentially be tokenized, brands and retails, fintech, enterprises, insurtech, supply chain, or even travel partners. And the potential would not end that. I'm sure, it will go beyond what we have at the screen. So from here, I'll be sharing 6 quick examples of how some of the Web2 corporates are already collaborating with, Web3 partners, and how this can really benefit both sides. And there's one common trait across these corporate partners that I'll review, right after this. Number one, Visa. So Visa has been working with a number of, exchanges and, crypto players in the space to launch their card programs that allows consumers to easily convert and spend digital currency at over, 80 million merchants that Visa has all over the world. On the right-hand side, you can see the Asia Development Bank. They have been partnering with Consensus, Fujitsu, R3, and Soramitsu to launch a project to make cross-border security transactions in APAC more efficient. Next up, we have some brands and retails. Coca-Cola, as you can see, has been working with Taffy to launch some of their NFTs. And on the right-hand side, you see Adidas have been working with the Bored Ape Yacht Club, short for BAYC, to launch a mix of digital as well as physical goods, be it NFTs and so on. Apart from that, they have also acquired a plot of virtual land inside the Sandbox, one of the most popular and largest metaverse. Lastly, Singapore Airline is actually one of the world's first, if not the first, blockchain-based airline loyalty digital wallet capability that they have launched a few years ago, as well as thinking about the potential to tokenize the miles, and that will really unlock a lot of potentials in this space. And last but not least, Marriott. I'm sure you guys heard of a lot of brands under them, be it JW Marriott and so on and so forth. They have launched NFTs as well with a couple of partner artists. And looking ahead this year, they're actually looking to also enter metaverse with their latest initiative. So what's the common traits across all the above 6 mentioned corporates? Someone like to make a guess? You're right. So I didn't plant this, by the way. So all 6 of them are actually corporate partners with Plug and Play, and we're very honored, to have worked with them. So with that, we are ready to move into the very next exciting segment, our panel discussion. So now a couple of housekeeping items. Feel free to scan the QR code on the left for the event information. In the middle, you can scan Slido, which you can use to post questions. And also for the people who are viewing from Zoom, you can also use this to participate and interact with us. On the top right-hand side, we have an event Telegram group for today's participants, be it online or offline. We'll be showing this QR code again later. So if you would like to be part of the group, feel free to scan it. And yeah, with that, I'll leave the slides on this one for a moment, and I would like to welcome our dear panelists to get ready. Cool. Please give us a moment while we are setting things up. All right. So first, let me welcome Alex. So Alex is the founder CEO of Upbit APAC. Upbit is the largest regulated digital asset exchange in the world, operating in Singapore, Korea, Thailand, and Indonesia. Prior to Upbit, Alex had a successful leadership career with Naver and Kakao. Naver is the largest internet company in Korea with a market cap of $55 billion, where he led the search team for 5 years. At Kakao, he served as the director of global business and CEO of its Indonesia subsidiary, residing in the Southeast Asia region for 5 years. During the time, Kakao became the largest mobile internet company in Korea with a market cap of $47 billion. Welcome to have you today, Alex. Next up, we have Kuntai. So Kuntai joined Siam Commercial Bank in 2020 as Chief Venture Investment Officer of SCB 10X. She has over 20 years of experience working in the technology investment sector in Silicon Valley, New York, and Singapore. She was a portfolio manager at Pictet Asset Management, where she specialized in investment in publicly listed tech companies in Asia prior to joining SCB 10X. Kuntai was awarded the prestigious King's Scholarship to study abroad. She graduated with honors from MIT, where she earned a bachelor's and master's degree in electrical engineering and computer science, and an MBA from Harvard Business School. Last but not least, let me welcome Hock Lai. So Hoklai is the co-founder of the Global FinTech Institute, CEO of Switch Novate, and senior blockchain advisor of Tembusu Partners. He has 2 decades of experience in the financial and tech industry, having worked in Singapore's GovTech and NTUC Income. As an alumnus of NUS and NTU, he's the co-chairman of the Blockchain Association Singapore and former and founding president of Singapore FinTech Association. He's a council member and strategic advisor to numerous tech startups and organizations such as Bondavalue, Root and Global, Rectank, Morpheus Labs, and IEEE Blockchain and Distributed Ledger Standard Committee. In addition, he is also an Institute of Banking and Finance Fellow for Digital Transformation and a FinTech Fellow at SUSS. So great to have all 3 of you today. Thanks a lot for coming, and thanks again to all the guests who are here together with us. To kick off, I would like to ask each one of you to start by introducing your organization briefly and which part of the crypto ecosystem do you play. Maybe we start with Hoklai.
Thanks. Thanks, Ken, for your very kind introduction. I wear many hats. Probably the one that I'm more well known of is the hat that does not pay at all. Former and founding president for the Singapore FinTech Association. So I last spoke in this event pre-COVID. So that's how long it was. Last year, I stepped down from SFA. I'm now the co-chairman for Blockchain Association Singapore. So we are a non-profit organization set up to support the growth of the blockchain sector in Singapore and to facilitate collaboration and conversation among the stakeholders in the ecosystem. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Kuntai, please.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Thanks so much for having me here. So I'm Thai Panish, CIO of SCB 10X. We are the digital technology investment arm of Siam Commercial Bank, which is the biggest and oldest bank in Thailand. And for us, we are both investor and builder. So when we started out back in 2020, at the time, we were looking at different emerging technology, but quickly we came into conclusion that probably the area of blockchain, digital asset, Web3 probably will be the area that's going to disrupt the bank and financial industry the most. So we have been focusing our investment and building effort in this area. So we invest globally, and we are the investor in the like of Fireblocks, Anchorage, both are crypto custody, BlockFi, Signum, digital asset bank in Switzerland, Anchor Protocol on Terra, and many more. And for the building effort, we are basically have developers in-house with strong technical capability, and so they could run on-chain activities for our portfolio company in blockchain, and also could build that to expand the ecosystem of our portfolio companies. Yep.
Siam Commercial Bank is one of the most progressively thinking, banks I've seen in this region. So really great to have you. Alex?
Hello, good evening. My name is Alex. I'm CEO founder of Upbit APAC. Upbit is operating digital asset exchange in Korea, Singapore, Indonesia, Thailand, and beyond that. We also operate a tribal solution called Verify Fast to support connectivity between regulated exchanges of the world. And also recently we expanded into NFT marketplace, investing like huge sum of money in US together with the BTS, the boy band. So like our beginning was a fiat-based exchange, which is heavily regulated. So in that sense, we are a bit in different side of crypto space, so to speak. And I see a lot of interesting things happening on the other side of crypto space, which I'm keen to explore. Thank you for inviting me, Kent.
Great. So to start off, I'd like to invite our guests to discuss some trends that we see in the market. So first question would be to Kuntai. What are some of the different trends that you see across the world or in this region regarding how financial institutions behave in the crypto sector?
Yeah, I have to say that there are a lot of interest from financial services industry. I think you have already seen that there's so many commercial banks and investment banks that are right now preparing themselves and coming into the space. I guess like here in Singapore, we see DBS, which is basically the first bank actually that come into crypto. But then now we see like Siam Commercial Bank as well. We bought majority stake in BitCup, which is the biggest crypto exchange in Thailand. And then we also see the like of BNY Mellon, which is the humongous custodian bank in the world with $1 trillion of assets. They're also preparing themselves to come into the space by offering crypto custody. They license 5 blocks technology and offering crypto custody to all their clients. I guess it makes a lot of sense that all these players want to come into the space because they already have very, very big customer base that also would like to participate in crypto area, and therefore if they offer this type of service, they would immediately have like massive amount of customer base that could be the customer in crypto as well. Yeah, so for us, Siam Commercial Bank, we started out with SCB 10X, investing and building in different area of blockchain and crypto. But ourselves, we also have this ambition to build blockchain-based bank. And so right now we are preparing for different part of the business area, like payment, looking at stablecoin, in crypto custody, looking at the broker dealer, and then we bought the crypto exchange, which is BitCup that I just talked about. So we see a lot of trend like this. And for us, SCB 10X, we prepare the bank by going out and search for very good technology that could bring back into the bank and use for our blockchain-based bank. So when we actually go around, we look at different area. For Web3, for example, we actually went to invest into the sandbox, which is NFT gaming and metaverse. And after we invest, we normally not just providing capital, but we also would like to build something together with the company as well. So we actually build the headquarters in the sandbox. And after we did that and we announced to the public, we actually got a lot of companies that coming to ask us to help them build the headquarters or any type of store or restaurant, something like that on Metaverse. And then after that, we also see other banks that coming into the space, like HSBC. They announced that they're going to also come into the sandbox. They bought the land. They're going to have the stadium, going to do esport development in that metaverse. And recently, yesterday, I think we also saw Standard Chartered. They also announced that they are coming into the sandbox and going to build something in the sandbox as well. So I think that all these banks and financial services sector definitely will see more and more coming into this area of Web3.
Wonderful. It's really exciting to see banks playing various roles, be it dealer broker, be it acquiring exchanges, be it custodians, and even CVC investors as well as builders in this space. Next question is to Hock Lai. As we zoom in, from global to Singapore, one of the roles that BAS, Blockchain Association of Singapore, is to be the bridge between the industry as well as the regulators. Can you help summarize, Singapore's attitude towards the crypto industry as a whole?
Okay, thanks, Ken. I think 2 years back when MES announced that they are going to regulate cryptocurrencies under the new Payment Services Act, I think at that point in time, it's the most progressive regulator, and I think MES received over 200 applications for that. I think over the last 2 years, because of the slowness in issuing licenses, and more recently, banning crypto, so there's definitely there are chatters and conversations that now Singapore is a less friendly place. But we have been in touch with MES. In fact, now we have a regular dialogue with them. In fact, today we just released the clarified guidelines on the crypto advertisement to all our members. That is from MES, and the 3 industry associations in Singapore coming up, working on code of practice, so that there are hope that some of the guidelines could be scaled back or even lifted. So at least like we know that MS is listening, and definitely, I mean, their intention is good to protect the customer interest, but we also share with them there are more effective ways to address that. For example, responsible advertisement, and really, I mean, working closely with the industry is the way forward. And we share with them the growth in the whole blockchain space, although it's not just crypto exchanges, but they are a necessary part for a very vibrant ecosystem. Although we see that, for example, like definitely we see very strong institutional growth. For example, we have 4 bank members in the association. I mean, it's unheard of for any banks to join a blockchain association. So we have DBS Bank, we have UOB Bank, we have Standard Chartered, we have BNY Mellon. In fact, tomorrow we have a press release that with BNY Mellon, we are signing an MOU. They will become our institutional digital asset partner. And of course, with the growth of institutional interest, there will be demand for ancillary services. So we see Fireblocks and the likes of Blocktainment providing institutional grade kind of blockchain infrastructure. So all this together, I think, is making Singapore still a very attractive place for crypto companies, for blockchain companies. So I'm quite positive and hopeful for the future of Singapore. Thanks.
Thanks, Hock Lai. Next question will be to Alex. You know, you have lots of experience running and scaling internet companies from Kakao to Naver. What do you see in common, you know, between internet companies and exchanges that you're running, and what are some of the key differences?
That is an interesting question. Well, like more and more, it's tough to define which one is internet company. Like, let's say SCB is a bank, but majority of people will meet SCB service by internet. So in a way, you can call it as internet company, right? Like same goes for the DBS or Tesla, perhaps. So these days, it is very tough to find a company which is not an internet company. Even though you go to like mom and pop shop for spaghetti, you know, the restaurant, they can promote over Instagram. So in a way, you can call them as internet company. So I would say internet is just a technology to use, perhaps. Maybe many hundred years ago, like people used paper as a new technology to build a business, perhaps. And we have an accounting system. Now we have internet. Now we have a Web3 or blockchain. So along the line, I will say Web3 or blockchain is an interesting technology, which may not fit to every business, perhaps. But if you want to make something new, which didn't exist before, then that technology can be one of the options you can consider. And we see a lot of the interesting application cases using this blockchain technology. And that will be one of the only way to create something different in internet space. Well, internet was around for almost like more than 30 years now. And there had been a lot of experiments. It's very tough to make something like original, like something new in a creative way. So you may want to look for what new technology you have on internet space, then definitely blockchain is one of the key candidates, I would say.
Thanks a lot. With that, moving on to the next question to Khun Thai again. You know, CM Commercial Bank, you know, launched SCB 10X, as you mentioned. Can you tell us about its journey? You know, why the bank decides to launch it and why it decides, you know, to focus more and more on the crypto? And can you briefly also help us compare, you know, be a return, be a weight of investment that you see comparing, you know, Web2 and Web3 VC investments?
Yeah, sure thing. So I actually was in hedge fund industry for 14 years, investing in technology sector. And in mid 2019, the senior management of SCB 10X approached me to ask whether I would be interested to come to help start SCB 10X. And at that time, I was debating for like 6 months whether I wanted to do it or not, because it is completely new to me. But I think that they actually do the right thing, because if you're going to do anything that related to innovation, disruptive technology, but you do it inside the corporation, inside the bank, it will never work. So I was like, okay, maybe I will take some leap of faith and come and see whether it will work or not. And if it won't work, then I would go back to work in hedge fund. I think I can do that. So I came to SCB 10X, and at the beginning, we were looking at different emerging technologies. And at that time, we were thinking that we're going to invest in fintech, future of work and lifestyle, health and wellness, IoT, and deep tech. Then all my team members told me that what you are planning, those 5 key themes are everything in the world. So we're going to actually like be very, very busy, sourcing all this, like all deals in the world. So we decided, okay, so maybe let's focus first on, some particular theme. So we went to look at fintech, and particularly on blockchain, because we think that this is quite disruptive, and there might be some interesting area that, we could focus on. So when we were looking at blockchain, we came to DeFi. And then I think after that, it's like the end because it's amazing. I have never seen anything like that. Yeah, because I have been investing now for 17 years in technology sector. And actually, I was an engineer by background. I worked in a startup before too for 5 years. And never before in my life that a software company could be this very cost effective, because you can see that less than 20 people in a DeFi company, they can operate like a crypto bank. And then they could have asset in the system of like $10 billion. We're talking about like compared to, let's say, Siam Commercial Bank, right? We have $100 billion of asset, but we have 30,000 people. And it's amazing how 20 people could do this. And that's all because of smart contract. You could do everything via software, smart contract, and it govern all the rules. So yeah, once we saw this, we thought that we really, really have to focus here, because otherwise the bank like us will be completely disrupted. For example, like if you actually look at cost to income ratio of banks, normally cost to income ratio is like 40 to 60%. But if you look at DeFi protocol like Compound or Anchor protocol, you will see that the cost to income ratio is less than 10%. So something like this is really amazing. And after that, we basically focus our investment in DeFi and in digital asset, blockchain, and crypto. That's the result of that. And for us, we're not just an investor. We feel that besides building as well, we want to find a way to adopt this fascinating technology, try to find a way to integrate with the bank services. So maybe we could continue to be doing the front end, which bank do really well, because our app have to be able to work across our customer base of like 12 million people. So the UX UI have to be very, very easy to use. But the back end, we could use smart contract or software back end that the DeFi companies provide. So that we really hope that in the future we could do that, but it also depends on the regulators as well. So the second question that Ken asked about comparing with like a Web2 startup and Web3 startup, the returns, right? So I have to say that it's actually very funny, because if you look at the normal startup, typically, they will raise money every year or every 2 years. I would say on average every 2 years. And when they raise the next round, if the valuation go up double, that's already fantastic and everybody would be happy. But in crypto and digital asset area, you never see anything like this, because I guess the industry going exponentially super fast. And you can see like, crypto transaction, the asset under custody, asset in the system growing like super fast exponentially. So we see the crypto company, they raise fund multiple times in a year, and the valuation also triple or quadruple like really fast. For example, our portfolio company, Fireblocks, last year they raised money 3 times. and the valuation went from less than $500 million go all the way to $8 billion in 1 year. So that's like 16 times. So something like that, yeah, is unheard of. And then, so that's on the equity front. But then nowadays you see that, you know, all these crypto company, they also launch token. And for token, if you actually go in early and pick very good company, the valuation return could go like 50 times, 100 times multiple in very short period of time as well.
Yep, thanks for the sharing. I know that in our audience here today, we also have a number of crypto funds, and from what I understand, you know, returns of 500x to 1000x is also not unheard of in this industry. But it definitely blows the mind, you know, of a lot of our Web2 investors. You know, next questions to Hock Lai again. As you were alluding to the point about regulation, you know, in March, cryptocurrency exchange Bybit announced on that it's shifting its headquarters from Singapore to Dubai. On the same day that Crypto.com said it would establish a regional hub office there. So Bybit and Crypto.com's move comes as Singapore is, you know, as you mentioned, tightening its regulatory grip on the crypto. So why do you think this happened? And what are some of the implications does this have for Singapore's position in this global industry?
So I think you have to view this from the context that crypto is a global business. You already invested in the technology, right? It's inherently scalable. The difference is really that regulations are quite different in different jurisdictions, and you have to apply for licenses. So you can't be like waiting for the license in Singapore and not doing anything. You have to get the business everywhere, apply for licenses everywhere, which a lot of the players told me the license they are applying in Singapore is not because Singapore is a fantastic market. We know that Singapore is only 5.6 million. It's a very small market, but it's the brand premium that if you can pass the very high standard in Singapore by MAS, that will make it a lot easier for you to get licenses elsewhere, because you can see that even different countries are treating crypto licenses differently. In Indonesia, is treated as a commodity. In Malaysia, it's treated as a securities. In Singapore, we treat it as payments. So to me, that is a very logical business decision that they make. They have to continue growing, scaling their business while patiently waiting for the license in Singapore. Singapore is still a very fantastic business hub for many of them. Just to share that even for the association, our member base grew from 50 a year ago to more than 150 now. We have the likes of, I share about the 4 banks. We have many layer 1 chain joining us. Blockdaemon, Fireblocks, we see they grow their valuation just within 6 months, doubling. So I think the ecosystem in Singapore is evolving and adapting. Again, I share that the whole crypto and blockchain ecosystem is not just about crypto exchange; it's a lot broader. The rise of NFTs and metaverse actually broaden the entire narrative of blockchain and crypto. Because of that, I start seeing a lot of Web2 companies interested in that. Just yesterday, I was like sharing about blockchain to the whole Colgate APAC office, because they are looking into this. So it's not just Colgate, but many other Web2 organizations are looking at how could they capitalize on this whole digital asset and blockchain opportunity. So I think we have to look beyond just the headline of crypto licenses and look at the big picture. There are many activities in crypto that don't have to be regulated. And those are the activities you can do in Singapore. Singapore has its natural advantages. I know that many C-suite people, they wanted to be based in Singapore to run the base here while their market could be elsewhere. So I think Singapore still has that advantage. Of course, you just imagine if MAS started to be a little bit more crypto friendly, I think that will be even more fantastic for the ecosystem here. So I'm seeing the ecosystem still growing quite strongly. and the news of them moving their HQ overseas is a little bit of concern, but I don't think that's the full picture. So Singapore is I think we are in the right space, could have been better, and I'm positive that could happen within the next few months. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Hock Lai. And that paints a perfect segue for us to move from the trend section to the next section, which is the Web2, Web3, collaboration. And in the meanwhile, I'd like to ask for help from my plug and play colleague to pass me a phone that can check the questions that we have been collecting from Slido, so that if we have time, we can also ask a couple of questions from there. So talking about Web2, Web3 collaboration, the next question is to Alex. You're running, as you mentioned, one of the world's largest regulated exchange. So which Web2 industries would exchanges in general be most interested in collaborating with, in your opinion? And can you give some of the examples with that too?
I will say, well, exchange may not be a right term to describe what we are doing. So we act as a bridge or portal to connect non-crypto the space to crypto space, perhaps. So what we focus is that we want to make sure that when you pass the portal, we wish you to reach in that another world in one piece, and we don't want you to lose your money in your pocket when you reach another space. So we want to make sure that there is no the bad guys acting to destroy our collaboration, and we want to make sure that there is no AML safety concerns and everything. And in terms of that, we see a lot of the Web2 or traditional brick and mortar company coming into this blockchain industry to do interesting experiment regarding to tokenization of their businesses. It could be a gaming company, it could be a supply chain company, it could be a traditional finance company. And when they have a tokenization, the idea, usually it involves generating their own tokens, which should be introduced to a wider community on the blockchain. So in that sense, collaboration with the exchange or the portal player will make a lot of sense. But since we are regulated, we are quite particular in the listing on the tokens. As Hock Lai mentioned, I totally echo with what Hock Lai mentioned. Singapore is a very, how should I say, reputable jurisdiction in a way. So this place is good for a committed player, and we are more than happy to cooperate with traditional or Web2 company coming into this space with the committed way. So in that regard, we cooperate with a lot of the Web2 or traditional companies. So we have multiple business lines. We operate digital asset exchange. We have the blockchain as a service of businesses called Universe. So with that arm, we provide tokenization consulting. We build technology for them. We help them to explore the idea about the harnessing blockchain technology. What happens is that they come to us and they say, okay, I want to do something to blockchain. And we ask them, so what do you want to do? And they usually don't have a clear idea, right? So in that case, we tell them, okay, let's sit down and talk what you are doing now. What's there to be a opportunity to explore this technology? Like this is not a magic wand. You cannot just simply like innovate your existing product or services using the blockchain, right? So we need to find the right angle. And for that, we have a lot of experience with many different companies, and we can provide some insight to them. So that was the thing we are doing, the collaboration part.
Thanks, Alex. Next question, I would ask to Khun Thai. What opportunities in crypto do you see for financial institutions in general? I think you have already mentioned a couple of them. But the key question is also, how should they prioritize them for their organization? And what suits different types of organization the best within the financial institution segment?
I think I have already talked about DeFi, that the financial industry should really pay attention. But I think other things that we're looking at right now is like the of stablecoin for payment, for cross-border remittance and payment. I think that's also very, very interesting because it's instant settlement and overall lower the cost of the payment cross-border in general. This area is very, very interesting because I guess right now there are a lot of regulators that still not comfortable with stablecoin because the country like Thailand, for example, we have capital control, and so stablecoin could result in the money coming out of the country very easily. And so this is the area that right now we try to educate the regulators with better benefit and how to regulate, how to control stablecoin transaction, things like that. Yeah. So right now we are actually working with our regulators to go into the sandbox for stablecoin payment for cross-border remittance. But I think this is a very big opportunity for banks and financial services industry to take a look on the payment side.
Thank you. And the last question goes to Hoc Lai. Congrats for scaling the membership, tripling them in a year. You also mentioned, Web2, Web3 just now. So can you share some Web2, Web3 collaboration initiatives that the BAS is promoting now? And how can corporates participate in some of these initiatives?
Actually, the best way to facilitate that kind of collaboration is to get them together, whether virtually or physically. For us, we have a chat group that all members get to talk to one another, sharing information. So that is one way for them to be able to quickly connect to a new member, or if you have some queries, right, you can do that. That's the reason. That's also one of the reasons I see many are joining, because blockchain is such a nascent space. Not everyone has a full stack of solutions and services. So everyone has a bit of everything. So that makes it great for Web2 and Web3 companies to come together and share. So for us, we try to organize in-person event as much as possible. In fact, over the last 5 months, I think we have organized at least 5 in-person events despite all the COVID restrictions. So I think ultimately the face-to-face element is still important. I think that partly also explains why the membership growth is very strong. Again, I share that many Web2 companies are really keen in this space, because I think to them, mainly they are looking at it on how can they use, for example, NFT to engage their younger customer segments, or maybe tokenizing some of their assets to make their capital more efficient. So I continue to see that scenario playing out. So definitely the Web2, Web3 collaboration, I don't think is static. In fact, to me, it's not a binary. It's a whole spectrum. I think not every company is a full Web3. Some are 2.1, 2.2, or 2.5, but definitely it's a journey that many Web2 companies are now looking at it seriously. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you for that. Now, one question from the Zoom Slido questionnaire, and I'd like to channel that to Alex. There are a lot of Web3 applications nowadays, and that means a lot more cryptocurrencies and tokens. How will the world look like with a flood of tokens nowadays, as more and more countries are adopting crypto, specifically in countries where there are potentially even more first-time investors, the millennials, who start the investment world with token. Examples like Indonesia, where there are about 3 million stock investors, but they have over 10 million crypto investors. So how would you imagine the world with that?
Well, we also operate a licensed exchange in Indonesia. Like Upbit Indonesia is the second licensed exchange in that nation, actually, since 2018, I think. well, investing could be the most common job in 21st century, perhaps. In 20th century, it was manufacturing. 1 century ago, it was agriculture. So I imagine a world which anyone can invest on any type of asset class which may not exist before. So let's say you are one of the early fan of the BTS, the great boy band. You made them great. So we went to the Thailand. We saw a high school lady. She's buying 2 boxes of CD of BTS, and she doesn't even have a CD player at their home. So we asked her, why you buy CD? And she said, that's the only thing I can do for them. And that is a bit very inefficient way of supporting the boy band she likes. And in the course, we generate a lot of the unnecessary plastics and the carbon footprint, right? So, and imagine that your friend opened a very interesting martabak shop in Indonesia, which is my one of the favorite dessert. And then, well, when you open a shop, no one knows about you. So you may want to spend some money on the Facebook and Instagram, then you get some publicity and people come to your place and post on Instagram, then you have some business and you want to spend more money on the advertisement. And maybe you can get invested by VC, perhaps. That is the typical way of the growth, right? But those people who made the business great, which is early supporter of the martabak place, the dessert, Indonesian dessert, very nice one. What do they get? They are missing in the whole journey of this great innovation of the martabak shop. So we see something missing here, and providing a accessibility to investment opportunity, which is nearby them, not like Tesla only, you know, or not only the famous people you see on the Fortune magazine. Investing in nearby opportunities you are familiar with can be a very interesting topic, in my opinion. So in that sense, it can make a very vibrant and fair and safe investing opportunities.
Thank you, Alex. So with that, we've discussed, trends in the space, Web2, Web3 collaborations. I would like to wrap this up with a final question. So from your understanding for each of the panelists, from your understanding of plug and play and the role that we have been playing in the industry, what do you hope to see from us in order to bring Web2 and Web3 together? Maybe a quick one-liner from you each, starting with Hock Lai.
Okay, for ecosystem building, we always have these three things: access to talent, access to market, access to capital. So I think especially the third part, access to capital, is what accelerators like Plug and Play can play a very big role. Thanks.
Thank you. Kuntai?
I would like to see a lot of great companies coming of accelerator program of Plug and Play, especially in blockchain and crypto.
Thank you. Alex?
As well, I would say surviving opportunity.
Surviving?
Yes, because the business model, how long it will be relevant, it is getting shorter and shorter. So providing a bridge or connectivity to new technology or ecosystem will be very helpful for established businesses.
Thank you very much. So with that, I'd like to thank all the three panelists for being with us today, and let's wrap this up. Thank you very much. All right. So for the next section, we're going into our section of our announcements. So it was speaking about our crypto history, right? From 2013, 2014, all the way to last year, and what's next for us and for the crypto ecosystem. Just now, I think our panelists discussed the narrative for the crypto industry. It started with trading being the biggest case, use case. DeFi became super popular since 2020. And we also see NFT, metaverse, GameFi over the past year. But what's next, right? And at Plug and Play, we believe the next wave of mass adoption can be driven by Web2, Web3 collaboration. And that is why, next page, we're looking to build, an ecosystem of Web2 and Web3 collaboration, and open innovation platform. So we showed, this page just now, examples of Web2 corporations that can, participate in this, ranging from banks to internet companies to conglomerates to brand and retail companies. And on the Web3 side, we have already signed one of the first two corporate partners. One is Alliance Block, the other one is Tezos. And we'll definitely welcome more corporate partners to join us in this journey. Next page. For this upcoming global crypto and Web3 accelerator, we're looking to launch this across the globe. We last year opened 9 locations all over the world, making us 40 offices now globally, and across the 5 continents. And with this support, we hope to with this ecosystem, we hope to support the major players in this space to really flourish. What are we offering? Really, it's 3 main type. From network access, be it access to public chains, corporate network, global communities, or the global demo day opportunity, to community events, from branding, events, networking, to educational workshops, as well as accelerator access, be it the deal flow sessions with us or the accelerator program that we're looking to build and launch. Very excited to have it with each one of you. And these services, we're looking to briefly, cater to, but not limited to, the following types of players, be it exchanges and public chains, venture funds, corporations. You can see that the ways that we can collaborate differ slightly, but a lot of elements are really common. So with that, I'd like to then welcome Aaron to be our first keynote speaker.
Testing. Hi guys, thank you Ken for inviting me.
So Aaron is the head of marketing for Clayton Foundation, the leading blockchain from Asia, focusing on building the metaverse blockchain for all. Prior to Clayton, he had stints in CoinMarketCap, Microsoft, and NTUC Income Digital Office. After office hours, Aaron is a father of 2 and is a volunteer mentor for youths. Welcome, Aaron.
Thank you guys. So before I begin, just like to thank Ken for inviting me for this wonderful event. Lots of beautiful faces and beautiful smiles. So hope everyone had managed to grab your dinner. So for me, I think having listened to 3 wonderful panelists about their views on how VCs can participate within the Web3 space and helping be the bridge between Web2 and Web3, I think there's a lot of synergy in terms of what Clayton is trying to achieve. For my presentation, what I want to share with you is sort of like a different perspective and how we can sort of like move forward in that sense, being the bridge. So this is just a brief introduction about myself. I started off on the Web2 side as a digital marketer, moving on into a full-fledged end-to-end growth marketer before transiting into Web3. And being in Web3, of course, I need to have an NFT as my profile pic. So a brief introduction about Clayton Foundation. We are the blockchain arm of Kakao. So Alex, I heard that you're having dinner tomorrow. So in 2021, we actually moved our headquarters over to Singapore with a view for global expansion. And since the beginning of the year, we have actually accelerated our growth with the signing of a lot of key global partnerships. One example would be GMO in Japan, the largest tech giant, Salim Group in Indonesia, one of the top 3 richest family conglomerates, One Entertainment from Thailand, which is the largest entertainment group, specifically with East NFT. On top of that, I think what we want to do is really to build a blockchain. Our belief is that it won't be one blockchain that rules them all, but it's more about interoperability. So I see a lot of familiar faces and partners over here. So definitely lots of room for collaboration. So I guess the main question basically is, what is Web 1 versus Web 2 versus Web 3? In a nutshell, just think of it like the information economy, the platform economy, and the ownership economy. And I think we can see through the whole, the map is missing. So on Web 1 is basically the rise of the internet. It's basically read-only, whereby you access a website and then that's the only function sort of like you can do. Moving forward, then it's basically Web 2. And what exactly is Web 2? It is the platform economy, the rise of your FANG, your Facebook, your Amazon, your Google, whereby they hold all your information. And as the saying goes, if you're not paying for anything, basically you are the product itself. And that's how Google, Facebook, Amazon has managed to grow to where they are today. Coincidentally, at the same time, because of 2008, there was this software or this new technology that was created, and it was Bitcoin. And within the next 10 years, it became the fastest growing asset in history. Moving forward then in 2020, what exactly is next? And I think this is the question that all of us are curious to find out. For me, basically, think of it like providing you with one perspective. So why Web3? I think Ken basically gave you a quick introduction. It is decentralized. The ownership of identity and digital assets is given back to the user itself. And last of all, the creator economy, whereby everyone is empowered to be able to participate within the economy itself. So centralized and decentralized, I think this model we're all quite familiar, especially with the middleman. Specifically, I was from a Web2 company. Most recent was with Microsoft, and before that was with NTUC Income, Singapore's largest composite insurer. Within that space, as we all know, the middleman, in a not so nice word, think of them like a friendly neighbor helping you process your transaction. In a not so nice way, think of them like a vampire, a bloodsucker. So most recently, I basically made a transfer from TransferWise, US, basically just 10,000, and transferred to my account in Singapore. And guess how much I had to pay? $10 in fees. Compared to making the same transaction on the blockchain, I had to pay less than 1 cent. So logically then, as a user, I think the answer is clear for all. Moving forward then, what exactly is decentralized? It's basically just a peer-to-peer system, allowing you to have ownership, have control. Of course, there are pros and cons, which is open up for another whole round of debate, whether you are able to protect your own keys, private keys. If you lose it, what happened? But I think that's why we are centralized exchange for. But moving forward then, at the same time, it's also about your ownership of identity and digital assets. So similar to the roadmap that I shared with you, in the year 2000, it was basically the rise of UGC. Back then, as a digital marketer, it was all about UGC. How can I convince this user to take a picture with my product and then post it on Facebook, post it on Instagram to make it seem like mine is the latest and hippest product? And there is rise the sort of like the trend of social media platforms, and every internet user basically became a creator. However, what was next after a creator? It became then influencer. From then on, everyone could become a celebrity, a KOL in that sense. As long as you got more than 10,000 users, you are a bona fide influencer. And monetization was via ads and brand deals. So if you go onto Instagram nowadays, I think out of every 1-2 posts, you'll definitely see an ad or product placement. So that is the state. However, then, do remember at the end of the day, all this ownership of your data, of your photos, of your product placement still belongs to the platform that you are using. Moving forward then, basically in late 2010s, the rise of the creators. So people wanted to take control of their assets, of the content that they are created. So there was the rise of OnlyFans. For those of you who are not familiar, not safe for work, please view it in your own private. So basically, People wanted direct monetization from tipping to fan subscription. And I think we see a very huge use case, specifically, I think, on Reddit, whereby they actually tried to implement something. And that was why there was the rise of Dogecoin. Moving forward, I think a lot of platforms, they were trying to implement it. Instagram recently came up with fan subscription. Twitter was trying to implement a tipping program. All these Web2 companies, they are trying to move and have some semblance of Web3. Where will they land? I think that is all for us to explore. But I think what I would like to focus or draw everyone's attention to would be the creator economy. So the lines between fans and creators have actually blurred into community ownership. And what exactly is that? It's basically that everything that you create, you are able to partake in it in this ecosystem. And the creator yourself becomes the platform. No longer are you the product, whereby your data is being sold by the platform. What you take back is actually power. And I think that is what the whole ethos of decentralized Web3 is all about. So how many of you are familiar with Travis Scott? In 2020, he basically organized his first ever metaverse concert. And within 10 minutes, he actually earned 20 million. This 20 million is equivalent to 1 whole years of concert, actually. For every concert that he arranged, a physical real-life concert, he actually earned only about 1.2 million. Not a lot, correct? During that 10 minutes, he actually had 12.3 million concurrent attendees, 45.8 million views in total. And just the fact that he was wearing an Air Jordans, it's a bit small, but it's over here. The brand exposure value was more than 500,000. And this is the economy that Web3 actually brings to him. He was able to monetize through the sales of skins within the Fortnite environment. And he's able to take control. And this is actually the possibility that opens up to everyone and anyone. So of course, last of all, why Web3? Not only what I say so, but Gartner say so. They conducted an interview between CIOs, about I think 150 of them. So 3/4 of organizations are actually trying to figure out the relevance and usefulness of blockchain. So they are still trying to figure out, and I think most of us are basically over here. Maybe some of us are in the process, but surprisingly, only 11% of them have already employed blockchain today. So I think the future is here and the future is now. And how are we going to empower and take control of it? And that's what I want to share with you. 3 points. Like what Ken has said, is all about collaboration. And for us at Clayton, we view it as 3 main keys or 3 main pillars, basically partnerships. First, there will be your business partners, your infrastructure partners, and last of all, your ecosystem partners. So a huge shout out to Plug and Play. They are the largest with 520 corporate partners from different verticals. And we believe that blockchain actually cuts across every vertical. And how are we going to do that? Of course, basically by partnering with the partners with the largest ecosystem. Of course, blockchain can be quite confusing because there are many different layers. There's your front end, your aggregators, your middleware, yada, 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 your storage. And over here, this is by Masari, think of them like the Bloomberg of crypto. So Clayton is actually listed over there as one of the top key layer 1 infrastructure. And what we bring to the table is basically our ecosystem. So next then will be infrastructure. I think the ethos of blockchain, there are basically a lot of things that we look out for. Security, decentralization, scalability, interoperability, and expertise. I think what we have is basically this ecosystem that we are offering. So like I mentioned before at the beginning of the year, we managed to sign huge enterprise partnerships within a span of 6 months. And as we are all familiar, signing of partnerships usually can take anywhere between 6 months to 2 years. And these are some of the partnerships that we are bringing to the table, not only within the community itself, the entertainment IPs, and also the infrastructure. FYI, BSN is basically the infrastructure provider that gives you access to China's blockchain economy. So thank you to Dami over here, whereby she was the one that signed off on it. For us, we managed to, there are a total of 24 blockchains, and our name is the Chongqing blockchain. So last of all is also the Clayton Governance Council. I think for Web2 to enter into Web3, it can be quite difficult, not only in terms of the expertise, the knowledge, and also the technical infrastructure. At Clayton, what we do is provide you this sort of like opportunity to participate within the Web3 space, and that is the ecosystem. Over there, as you can see, Alameda Research is the brainchild of SPF, who is the CEO of FTX. They are our latest governance council member. And not only that, what we do is to enable them and co-create to expand our ecosystem. And I think my time is up. So thank you for all. Let me just leave you this with one last word. This is from the Senior Director of Engineering for Coinbase. I think at Web2, we work in a zero-sum environment where everyone is a competitor. We are always trying to bring to the table the biggest funds, so on and so forth. But I think Web3, it's a positive sum game, whereby we see collaboration as the key to growing forward. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Aaron. Next up, we have Sabrina from HBAR Foundation. In the Web3 space, since 2018, Sabrina leads the FinTech and Payments Fund at the HBAR Foundation, supporting the growth of the Hedera Hashgraph ecosystem. Prior to her work at the foundation and Hedera, she led blockchain investments at Line, as well as held roles at Samsung in corporate strategy and business developments. Sabrina holds a PhD in chemical and biomolecular engineering from NCSU and an MBA from NYU Stern. Sabrina, please.
Thank you, Ken. Pleasure to be here in such good company and part of such an outstanding speaker lineup. So I'm with the HBAR Foundation. I'm really glad that today the topic is Web2 meets Web3 because it really speaks to the DNA of the foundation and of Hedera Hashgraph. So let me first give you a little bit of context about who we are. The HBAR Foundation mission is to accelerate the growth of the Hedera ecosystem, Hedera Hashgraph, the layer 1 protocol, mainly through three types of activities. So financial support through a grant program. We've already allocated more than $30 million in grants in a short span of our life, a few months old. Technical support, as well as marketing support for the projects that are building on Hedera Hashgraph. So we are covering, our funds are covering 4 key areas. So we have a crypto economy fund that's really focused on all the crypto native, tools, applications, markets on Hedera. But we have other funds that cover the whole end of the spectrum that is non-crypto native. So we're looking at consumer engagement, so tokenized gaming items, music, sports, collectibles, loyalty points. I'm leading the Payments and FinTech Fund, which is looking at tokenizing real world like financial assets, also stable coins, CBDCs, looking at remittance and this kind of applications. And last but not least, we have a sustainability impact fund, tokenizing sustainability assets, for example, carbon credits, renewable energy credits, and such. So here, really, crypto native is one pillar, but we are going all the way into the Web2 world and legacy tech as well. All right. So bridging Web2 and Web3 is not that easy. Because if you're looking at transitioning from a centralized to decentralized infrastructure, you need a layer that scales. Thankfully, Hedera ticks pretty much all the boxes. So you have to look at throughput, obviously. So 10,000 TPS. On a single shard, 5 to 10 seconds finality for transactions. The network is fair in that you cannot front run, you cannot just pay extra gas fees. All the transactions are processed in the order that they are timestamped. It's reliable. Nodes are on six continents, 100% uptime. It seems like a low bar when you compare to centralized systems. But when it comes to the nascent technology of DLT, it's actually not a given. You know, most layer one networks have been down in the past few months. Security is also paramount. DNA of Hedera Hashgraph is actually founders coming from military background, cybersecurity. So they really designed the system to be rugged, a Byzantine fault tolerant, asynchronous, a Byzantine fault tolerant, excuse me. By nature, double denial service attack resistant, never been compromised, and that's a key feature when you're looking at transitioning from Web2 services to Web3 services, especially in the financial space. Affordable in terms of transactions because we're looking at high throughput, right? So you cannot have expensive transactions. It's about 1/100th of a cent to submit a transaction to the network, and it's pegged to the dollar, so you don't have to worry about crypto prices fluctuating. And last but not least, sustainability. It's the most energy efficient proof of stake network. Whatever little energy that's being used is actually offset through the purchase of carbon credits. But you don't have to take it from me. That's actually University College London research that compared Hedera with other well-known layer one protocols. And so several order of magnitudes greener, and actually also greener than some of the centralized payment processing systems. All right, so I was talking about, coming from a Web2 roots. This is a snapshot of the Hedera Governing Council. You will find some household names here, multiple industries from IT to electronics to finance to even well-known universities. I've highlighted two council members, Avery Dennison and Shinhan Bank, because we have those in common with the plug and play partners. So definitely some overlap here. I know there was also a mention of Alliance Block earlier, and they're also, as one of the launch partners for plug and play, Web2, Web3, they are also building on Hedera Graph. So the governing council operates the nodes, that makes the big decisions to steward the protocol from token economics to the technology. Right. And so you've seen this slide earlier as the verticals that are covered by plug and play, and I've tried to highlight the ones where we have applications. And it's pretty much everything. I think there is very little limitation to what use cases we can serve. In terms of the track record and the traction, the mainnet was launched a little over 2 years ago. We have 14,000 developers, over 100 applications, process about 4 million transactions a day. To date, we've processed 2.3 billion transactions. That's more than the Ethereum blockchain. So arguably the most used public DLT around, and 820,000 accounts on the mainnet, almost 75,000 accounts created in the past 30 days. So pretty good momentum. So now I want to cover some use cases, really go a little bit more tangible, where Web2 meets Web3. So I think Aaron did a pretty good job explaining what the essence of Web3 is, really about empowering users, about ownership, about deplatformization. So here I have an example with an app called Galaxy. So about a year ago, I don't know if there's any NBA fans out there, but NBA player Spencer Dinwiddie tore his ACL, and he decided to start a company. He realized that fan engagement platforms were not creating meaningful interactions, and also that the business models were quite limited to advertising, endorsements, and not necessarily a good experience for the users and the fans either, because their data is being monetized, and they don't really get to interact very directly with the celebrities. So he set out to create Galaxy. It's an open social marketplace. It's connecting celebrities and creators to their fans. And the medium of connection is actually the social tokens. So celebrities issue their own token. Fans can buy those tokens, and that provides some perks. It's a way for the fans to feel ownership, as I think Alex was mentioning that with the BTS example earlier. And through perks, they're able to get closer to the celebrity. It could be, for example, for a musician, having a drop-in audio jam session. For an athlete, could be the privilege to send them a DM to congratulate them on their recent victory. So this is leveraging the Hedera token service, and thanks to the low fees and high TPS, we're able to serve a use case that potentially, could be hundreds of thousands of users per celebrity. So we talked a lot about the metaverse as well. Of course, so we talked a lot about companies building headquarters in the metaverse. So the enterprise is coming to the metaverse. Obviously, brands want recognition, want interaction with their consumers. So here we're partnering with a company very aptly named Metaverse. They are the deep tech company. They have a technology that created a 3D engine, similar to gaming engine, to create immersive experiences. And one of the things that they are building is a mall in the metaverse where brands can have showrooms. And what Hedera is doing is powering the NFTs that are that are backing the digital assets in the metaverse to provide experience that goes beyond just a typical collectibles, profile pictures, and this kind of stuff. So again, helping a Web2 world into a Web3 experience. Another example I have of a use case is a company called Sail. It's really kind of an infrastructure company that was helping brands, get into Web2. So, for example, setting up online shops, setting up like loyalty programs out of the box. It comes with also CRM as well as analytics. So that was the original focus, but then they wanted also to support Web3 transition. So Hedera is powering the NFTs on that platform. The way they are viewing this transition is going from a customer relationship management to owner relationship management. So it's again ownership. Last but not least, micropayments. Because you're exchanging value in the Web3, it is quite important to be able to exchange value in small amounts, right? And with existing payment rails, you can't really do that because the transaction fee is going to be bigger than the amount that you're trying to exchange. So here an example with Drop, which is a wallet that allows you to pay for bite-sized contents, really unlocking new business models. You can pay by the article or by the song. All right. You also need to have ownership as a user of your identity. So we have an example here with Miko, managing identity and credentials and allowing to kind of brokerage that service while keeping the users in power. And the last type, I know I have 15 seconds, but a different type of Web2, power grid. So here through micropayments, allowing houses, with solar panels to provide energy back to the grid, pull from the grid, and creating an energy marketplace powered by Hedera Hashgraph in real time. That's the last use case I had. So thank you so much for having me, and happy to discuss a bit further after this session. Thank you.
Thank you, Sabrina, for bringing us so many interesting use cases. So you have heard from two of the public chains. The next up, we are gonna bring one of our very own investment portfolio, Blockdaemon, that I mentioned just now. So Andrew is leading Blockdaemon's effort to build out APAC as the VP of Sales and General Manager for APAC. Previously, Andrew has had leadership roles in Amazon Web Services, Cisco Systems, and Singtel Optus. Andrew has been based in Singapore for over a decade and brings strong networks in startup, digital natives, crypto native, venture capital, and private equity networks. Andrew is focused on supporting customers, growing the Blockdaemon business, hiring and developing the Blockdaemon culture in APAC. Andrew, please.
Thanks, Ken. Just wanted to thank Plug and Play for having us here. And it's great to get out. Now, I didn't listen to the instructions on Web2 to Web3, but I think after you heard my introduction, I think I kind of fit into it nicely. And at Blockdaemon, any Web2 or any institutions that are getting into blockchains and they want to have a conversation around nodes and institutional staking, we're here to have that conversation. All right, and I know I'm standing between us and some drinks and some networking. So I'll keep an eye on the time. Okay, so who are we? We're about 250 staff now. We're rapidly hiring. I think the main point here is we're majority engineers. We're well over 60% engineers. We're a product and engineering company. So we're over 40,000 active nodes deployed now across a wide variety of infrastructure. And this is a part that makes us quite different. We use a lot of different infrastructure providers, and our engineers are thinking about what's the best place to run a protocol and a node. How do we look after a foundation, an L1, L2, give them the best possible node infrastructure, and then we go pick what is that infrastructure underneath. So the nodes are really the first kind of customer, and the foundation is really the first customer in our thinking. 50 plus protocols, well over 200 institutional customers, and about 10 billion delegated to our validators. We've been busy raising. It's been a busy year for us. So as Kent mentioned, Plug and Play is an investor, and we've got a whole raft of global tier one investors. Definitely some on the Web2 side as well, as we talk about Web2 to Web3, SoftBank, Lyra, Hippau, Tiger. We've also got some of the largest global banks as customers and investors. So JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and we just announced Citibank as well. We run a lot of node infrastructure for a lot of L1s and L2s. A lot of the time that starts, we're just listening to you about grants. Sometimes we'll talk to an L1 and L2 and we go, we're excited, we want to participate in your ecosystem. We go out and build the infrastructure for the foundation, generally deliver that back to the foundation, and then we take it to market. Yep. And then, we work with all the custody players, we work with Fireblocks, we work with, all the big players here, Copper, Anchorage, etc. So we essentially do three things. We started life as running nodes. So like I said, we've got over 50 protocols here. We've spent a lot of time hardening and battle testing nodes, and we're really proud about our white glove support, our maximum uptime, security, and performance. And like I mentioned, we've got a lot of early engagement in the foundations. Over time, we've moved into staking as well. So that's a validator node set. Like I said, we've got about 27 protocols there now that we're offering staking services for, over 10 billion staked to our validators. And we really focus on how do we get the best possible yield for our institutional customers across a wide variety of infrastructure. And lastly, we're building out API suite so that institutions, some of these can be Web2 as well, can communicate to multiple chains in a standardized API set as well. And we've got about 15 different protocols underneath that API suite as well. So this is just a little bit, and I'm going to go quickly, but how we think about managing nodes. Okay, there's a whole life cycle to managing the nodes, thinking about keeping the protocol software updated, you know, talking with the foundations, making sure we've got the right version of software, making sure we're checking for security, protocol updates, hardware updates. You know, there's a whole life cycle around managing node infrastructure. And you know, that's what our engineers focus on. Here's our current list of all the protocols. I'm not going to start naming them, but yeah, so you can see well over 50. You know, for these protocols, we also, what's important to talk about is we run the different node types. Many protocols have multiple node types, full node, index, archive, seed, etc. So we have a very deep and broad catalog across our node infrastructure. Staking. So staking is super easy with us. Blockdaemon, we offer end-to-end staking validator solutions. We're the only provider in the market that has insurance for staking. So we've partnered with Marsh, and Marsh is quite a popular insurance company that supports some of the digital asset custodian folk as well. And yeah, we've got insurance that covers slashing and double signing across our staking infrastructure. We integrate with all the major custodial players, and then we offer reporting, dashboarding, you know, GUI, API, CSV, however you want to pull the data out as well. These are the protocols we support for staking. So like I said, we're about 27. We've got a few more that that are coming out shortly as well. So summing up kind of how we help you, very high uptime, slashing guarantee and insurance. And we have multiple layers of security on how we approach this as well. This is a quick overview of our insurance offering. So contractually insured against a slashing event or a double signing event that happens by, you know, any sort of fault on the Blockdaemon side. So that's insurance at the customer level and the protocol level. Quickly, I just wanted to touch on two areas as well. This is an upcoming partnership. We've been working with a company called Stakewise, and you know, we're starting to talk to customers about this product offering right now. This is institutional grade liquid ETH staking. So basically, a lot of people will probably be aware of liquid ETH staking. This product is designed for institutions. So we think we're starting to see a lot of traction with people that are interested and getting into staking specifically for their Ethereum, but they don't like the lockup period. So with this offering, partnering with Stakewise, you can see that it's one of the first institutional grade liquid staking solutions in the market. It's got KYC, it's got AML, it's got compliance, it's got multiple audits on its smart contracts as well. Quickly, just touching on our API platform. So our API suite's called Ubiquity. It's a multi-protocol suite. So you'll have the native API, specialist APIs, universal API. This is where we standardize a lot of command sets. We've been getting a lot of requests from institutions around, hey, you know, I want to go into a multi-chain world, but I don't want to talk to all the chains in their native format and have to learn something 10, 15 different ways, and pulling out historical data as well. So essentially, we allow customers to access multiple chains through our APIs, and they can choose what they want to use. So the developer's got freedom. Like if they really know a protocol really well, yeah, sure, just use the native API. If they're more on the Web2 side, maybe in fintech, and like this gets really complicated for them really quickly, they can start to use our universal API, which will standardize a lot of the commands. This is both read, write, archive, very powerful set. This is not just read only. I don't know how this is going to come up on the video, this one. I should have checked the that peachy color, but purple means kind of like in production. Peach is kind of committed in build now. So you can see the different protocols. You can see you can do things like, gas fee estimation. We have an upcoming NFT API coming out. You can check staking reports. You can scale out node infrastructure. You can do a lot of transaction, and read-write transactions, just the way you would with full node infrastructure as well. Okay, summing it up, Block Daemon, there's a bunch of reasons why you'd work with us. But like professionally secured, we're through all that sort of security audits, ISO 27001, SOC 2. We have thousands and thousands of nodes deployed and that we actively manage. Like I said before, we're a foundation partner. We've been a grant recipient of many, many L1s and L2s, backed by some of the largest Web2 and crypto VCs and some of the largest banks, like globally. We've got insurance. So, that sets us in a very different position, like when we're having that sort of institutional discussion, because for a lot of them, it's very difficult to actually, create a yield if any of the assets are actually at risk. Best in class uptime and performance, and yeah, pretty competitive on pricing as well. So great. I think that's it on my side. I'm here, I'm Andrew. Glenn's over there if you want to say hello. Happy to take any questions as well. Thank you very much. Thanks for having us, guys.
Thank you, Andrew. As we were talking about blockchain and crypto moving really fast, just when we were having the event, Standard Chartered just announced that it's actually entering the metaverse by buying a plot of land in the sandbox. So similar to SCV10X that we were talking about. So congrats, Kuntai, for that. And seems like they're moving really quickly. As I know just now, Hoklai was also mentioning that recently joining Blockchain Association Singapore as a member. And in fact, they have one representative with us today from the SC Ventures. So yep, we can also talk about, discuss later. So with that, I would like to wrap up today's event. So for our crypto innovation platform, it's really a global team that we're looking at here. So you have myself, you have Max from looking at the US side. We have Xiaowen looking after our China team. Alfredo looking after crypto in EU, Europe, as well as Philip, who is heading our East Asia, mainly Japan and Korea. So feel free to get in touch, get a screenshot if you're dialing in from Zoom. And here's the final page. So do get in touch. If you scan the QR code, you can get in touch with myself, or you can join the event Telegram group that was showing just now for both the online participants as well as offline. Feel free to scan that. And at the top right-hand side, we'll appreciate if you can find the feedback form at the bottom of the website. We'd like to hear from you. What are some of the feedbacks you have for this event? And once again, thanks a lot for coming to this event. Have a great